So we had this debate on CNBC among the Republicans. Overall summary is this. It was a disaster for Jeb Bush and Rand Paul. And so I think their campaigns are really going to be hurt by this. Rubio, Jeb Bush, and Kasich were in a fight for who's going to be the establishment candidate. Kasich came out really strong out of the gate. I think his campaign told him you got to be more aggressive, and he was, and he did a pretty good job, and then faded, right? Jeb Bush came out flat and got even flatter, right? And partly flattened by Rubio. So in that camp of Republicans, Rubio, I think, emerged as even stronger than he already was. He was already starting to accumulate a lot more of the donor money and a lot of the establishment behind him. This might have been a pivotal moment when Rubio passed Bush definitively as the establishment candidate. So I think that's why it was important in that sense. Now, on the other side, there's two other camps. One is the anti-establishment camp, mainly Trump versus Carson, a little bit of Fiorina, but she really didn't show up much here tonight. I think John doesn't agree, but the three of us generally think that Trump won that between Carson and Trump. But then John's right that, hey, Carson never ceases to say anything during a debate, and then he comes out and his polls have risen, right? Yeah. So we're apparently misjudging the fervor for Ben Carson's soft talk.
Yeah. He seems, I'll say one thing about Ben Carson, he seems unflappable. When hit with certain specifics about his endorsements and money and even these very controversial things he said, he doesn't waver. He had that quiet, that low energy thing that Trump talks about, that could be seen or perceived anyway as unflappable. And maybe that's resonating somehow.
No question Ben Carson's quiet thunder, because he's right now leading in the national polls in at least one poll, and he's leading in Iowa. So we might be wrong about that, but our read overall was that Trump won that by bullying people and plain talk, as he usually does. It's so plain it doesn't say anything, right? Yeah. Now, in the camp of the irrelevance, right? Rand Paul, Chris Christie, Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz. What's interesting is, we've talked about how Rand Paul disappeared and it seemed like he was part of the drapes for a while. Huckabee didn't make much of a dent here. But this is the first time in over 3 hours of coverage we've done here live that we mentioned Ted Cruz's name. Isn't that interesting? Ted Cruz usually bombastic, firing missiles and doing all this stuff, and he hardly registered here. So I think he's also fading a little bit. I thought that there's some chance that Cruz come out of this. If Trump falls, Cruz kind of is the Trump replacement. And there's still not a good chance, but there's some possibility that happens. Yeah. But at the end of the night, I came out of it thinking, I think we've got our race here, and it's Rubio versus Trump.